Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome back to Sports Live with Steve and Justin. Hello, Justin.
Hello, Steve. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And we have a very, very special guest with us today. So, Matt Bernstein, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on. Justin, you want to start? So he's not here the whole time. Let's start with him, right?
Yeah, let's get right into it. So, Matt, thanks for joining us. For those viewing, you can find Matt at the Believe in Badgers podcast.
Yes, sir.
And it's on
Wow.
YouTube, right?
It's on YouTube. Yes.
Believe
Twitter.
is BLEAV.
Yes. It's the
And
platform that they. It's
Twitter,
the platform they have. It's weird
Yeah.
because it sounds like believe and you'd spell it like that, but it's not spelled that way.
So Matt was kind enough to join us today to start off the new year.
It's awesome.
We're going to discuss the college football playoff. So I'll kick it off by putting on my CANES Canes hat. Because, of course, we all know they took care of the Buckeyes, which I'm pretty sure Matt will tell you that we always root for Big Ten teams, but probably not the Buckeyes. Like, if they lose, or it's not really sad about it.
I'm more of I don't care if Michigan never wins a game for the rest of everyone's life. Ohio State, I'm all right with. It's interesting. I know we're going to jump into it, but I'm excited for Miami. I mean, I wanted a 3 out of 4s to be the Big Ten, but, like the landscape of college football, it almost doesn't matter what conference you're in anymore. I mean, sadly, like, too much has to change for that kind of to matter anymore.
Yeah. It's amazing how they took a great thing and destroyed it.
I'm on the side of players should get paid, but when they implemented it with no rules, then it went bananas.
They completely took the lid off it.
Guys are getting paid not hundreds of. I thought it was gonna be like people get paid 20, 50 grand. You're getting paid hundreds, millions to play.
Right.
I would have been rich. Now I'm not rich at all, except in life. I'm very happy, but people are bouncing from school to school to school. I think the college playoffs is the only thing kind of tethering guys to teams anymore because you see so many people opt out of bowl games. So I love the college football playoff schematic. I think there are things wrong with it, like JMU and Tulane getting in doesn't make sense. What's the point of being 11 and 12? Like, I can understand Notre Dame's gripe, except man up and play a bowl game. Like, it's so great to do. Who votes not to?
Yeah.
So I have some things wrong, but I'll let you guys. I'll punt back to you guys.
Well, what I find interesting is no matter how hard they tried to control the outcome, they got as usual in life, what be careful what you wish for, because you get the opposite all the time. And here they're getting maybe something the powers that be didn't like, but the fans are digging it. I mean, unless you're, a Buckeyes fan or something like that. I mean, unless you are. I mean, to have Indiana look like the team they look like, you want to say to yourself, what is going on in the world? How did they do that? I mean, that's how much you can't rig your team. You can't do anything because at the end of the day, anybody wins. I mean, it kind of reminds me of baseball a little bit. There's salaries and salaries, and they go up and up and up, and everybody's getting these guys, the best guys. At the end of the day, some team comes out of nowhere playing well, and they win. So, I don't know. It's just the way I look at it. I don't know if it's the right way. I don't know if it's certainly this isn't the final version of what the playoffs are going to look like, right?
Certainly
There's going to be changes, and we got to figure out what we're doing with conferences. There's got to be something. And you know what? And I was telling Justin, he actually met my friend whose daughter goes to Notre Dame, and her mother and her were ranting and raving how they were treated badly. I mean, listen, I don't care what you want to say ever happened to Notre Dame. They are never treated badly. All right. They have an individual contract with television. They make a fortune of money they don't have to split with anyone. And that's their choice. And okay, that's your choice, but it has ramifications. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You agree?
I totally agree. When I was at Wisconsin, I wanted Notre Dame to be in the Big Ten. It makes sense. They're in the Midwest. Selfishly, I wanted to play at Notre Dame. I thought it was so cool. We would have played this team with all this, culture behind it, all this history. So I'm all for them joining, but they're not stupid. They see, oh, we keep all this money that NBC or ABC or whoever wants to pay. Why would they jump? Now, they would jump because they can't be conference champions of anything and they can get bumped. That's the downside. And that seems to be what happened. But what did they end? 11 or 12? To me, why be 11? Why have that if you have JMU's 20-something is playing in the college football playoffs? That needs to change too. You didn't have the top best teams. You had conference champions. Some conferences don't always need to be like, listen, I'm wearing my Edgemont shirt. You think Edgemont's going to play in Conference A? They're not going to do that. It's nuts. We're B now. We're not playing double. We're not playing big schools. So it just, that needs to change. I think Steve, to what you were saying before, the landscape is, it's open. It's the open Wild West. And any team can get anybody. And all you need to do is pay some players. And look, Cignetti put together a really nice culture, brought the JMU guys he wanted, and he's a winner now. And he's done one of the most massive turnarounds I've ever seen in my life. And if he can, they never had a Heisman. If he can win, it'll be one of the best turnarounds, unless the Jets can do it next year, that I've ever seen in my entire life in sports. I mean, that's never going to happen, but it's beautiful what he's done with that team. But I just feel bad about the landscape. But college football playoffs is exciting. It's fun. And it was definitely needed because you just had teams. You guys remember 10 years ago, we had two teams just randomly picked who are the top two. And what would that have been this year? It would have been Ohio State, Indiana. It actually would have been
might have been Georgia, Indiana after the conference championship.
But the Big Ten didn't play a conference championship.
Right. Back
so
then,
you would have had 1-2 would have been those guys. And that was a good game to watch. So it didn't not work this year, but in other years, it would have been a complete debacle. But listen, I'm all for 12 teams. I thought 8 would have been perfect. But again, there are some teams that should never be allowed. They shouldn't be allowed to play.
I think it's the decision process trickling down from when we started this with the BCS and the point system, which looking back might have been the best system overall because you just got the 2 best teams via the eyeball test. Now, with all these teams in, I think the JMUs of the world are kind of like the Boise States from 20 years ago, where you want to root for the dog and you want to believe in Cinderella and you want to see them win against a team like Oklahoma in a big bowl. But that gives credence to the bowl games. The bowl games were important. It was part of the tradition of college football. And Notre Dame's legacy plays a big role, but they're not the same Notre Dame. Yes, I concede that their importance to college football and the history of college football is hugely important to the game itself. But they are not the same football program that they were 100 years ago. It's just different now. And if they're not going to join a conference and then turn around and say, well, if we don't get in the playoff, we're not playing in a bowl game. You know what? Take your money and stay home. Play like a billionaire today instead of play like a champion. So how many teams is it going to take to make everybody happy? And I said it last year, I don't need to see a 2 or 3 loss Notre Dame or Michigan or Alabama in the playoff. I just don't. Right. So are we going to include 3-loss teams now? Or are they going to bend over backwards not to include a 3-loss team? Look at Alabama and Georgia this year. Regular season, Alabama wins. Georgia wins the conference championship. Right. So now you've completely made the conference championship unimportant. So these games you play, they used to mean everything. And I believe in second chances. Yeah, sure. Maybe a team had a quarterback hurt. He missed a huge game, whatever. That's part of the game. That's part of the landscape of college football. That's all these traditions boil down to at the end of the day. All of that is gone now with the playoff. So something has to happen where, like you said about conferences, Steve, or, how they align themselves and who and when they play, because these things are going to, they're going to evolve and they're going to continue to change, and you're never going to satisfy everybody.
So maybe, I've given a little bit of thought, not a lot of thought, but certainly the conference, championship game or, playoff or whatever the heck you call it. I mean, that doesn't make sense anymore, right? Because you have teams that win a few games, end up going through and they're never going to play in the playoff, right? The conference winner, so to speak. Maybe it's done by, maybe it works like football does, is that the conferences or whoever does the best. And maybe you only count winning percentages of conference games, not all the other games that you play. And that you have to play a minimum amount of conference games to qualify for winning your conference. So the person that wins the conference goes on rather than playing a conference game with a team that doesn't really, plays one good game and wins.
Justin, before you say anything, I actually think that there can be, again, I do think the conference championship games are not meaningful anymore because, one, they shouldn't be counted against you, which they are. And so my thing is, take that game away. This is drastic change, which probably isn't going to happen. Might blow some people's minds. Take that game away and have more teams into the college, just like the NFL. I think college football needs to be like the NFL.
I agree.
And have wild card games where two teams, JMU and Tulane, who really shouldn't be going up against number one, play each other to take a spot. Have 14 or whatever you want to build it out a little bit more. Take away the conference championships. Make a structure that can have these Cinderellas potential stories play, but have to get in and have to play each other to get in. Then you are now allowing them to have a chance while you're still letting the 12 possible best teams in, conference championship or not.
Barring an undefeated team, meaning a Cinderella, I don't think anybody outside of Tulane or JMU is going to be upset if they didn't make the playoff.
No, because they're going to get killed.
Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't like they were undefeated and they had a big conference win or a big out-of-conference win against a top-ranked opponent. Conversely, Notre Dame's got Air Force, Army, Navy. Who are they playing? They lost to the two best teams they played at the beginning of the year, and then I'm supposed to believe that they got better as the season went along because they didn't play anybody? It's obnoxious to me. I don't need anything more than the eyeball test to tell me who is and who isn't. So outside of these one-loss teams, you want to make a case for some of these two-loss teams that maybe they're better than some of the one-loss teams.
Right.
I don't need to see it. I just, like I said before, how many teams are we going to include to make everybody happy? And everybody's never going to be happy.
Well, they're not happy in basketball. Basketball, everybody. But on the other hand,
that's an exciting tournament.
Then yeah, but it's a
might
little
be the
bit,
best NCAA product out there.
But it's a little bit less physically taxing than playing a football game. So
Agreed.
We have to admit that. So if we did it that far out, we'd be playing a playoff for the rest of our lives. It would be a 18-month sport.
It'd be like the movie Basketball.
Yeah, but having said that, I mean, no one cries when a ninth seed blows out a number one seed. It's taken in stride. When Gonzaga was nobody, they're not nobody anymore. But at the time, they were nobody, and they would beat a really good team. They'd make it to the Final Four. To win is a whole nother story for a basketball team because they don't have the people. We know that there's only so many 7-footers that can hit a 30-foot jump shot in the world, right? So the people, the haves and have-nots in basketball are a big deal. You only have 5 players. But in football, it's a different thing. It's really and the best quarterback in the world could still have a bad day. Sure. And the best offense in the world could still play against a defensive scheme that just has their number, kind of like the Super Bowl last year when the Eagles totally had a Kansas City's number, and there was nothing they could do. There was nothing they could do. They tried to adjust. It didn't work. That happens in football, happens in football.
I'll tell you this. I think, Steve, to your point, I do think, first off, basketball is very exciting. You put 5 guys on the court. One dude could be on fire from three-point land, and they beat a number one. So it could happen. What I love about football is you can have a wide receiver running back on fire, but you need the other 10 dudes to be doing their jobs. What I love about football is you got the big heavies up front. It's not just the same kind of body type. You got big dudes, you got small dudes, you got kickers. Some of the kickers look like they should be accountants sitting in Wall Street. It's what makes football special. I'm not a proponent of extending the season because it's extremely taxing, but it is, to me, the most fun. And I think the college football playoffs is special. And I think at JMU team, listen, it's so cool that they were able to get in, but but there needs to be a little bit more structure. And I know, Justin, you're hating on Notre Dame, which is fine, because I also agree with you. But as an 11 seed or a 12 seed, you don't get in because you didn't win the conference. And Notre Dame's not the only one. I don't remember who 12 is. They didn't get in either. So what's the point of the structure of seeding teams?
Yeah.
It's all lunacy. I think there are ways to do this. Guys, I wouldn't say I'm a genius, and I think us three could come up with a better scheme for how the college football playoff should be played. And they have to have people who can do it. It's
They're
just
doing what's best to make them the most money. That's what they're figuring out.
and it's a money grab, and college football has become the biggest money grab all over. We can go into that for days. I think they just need to align with the NFL and say, we need to make it exist. You are now professional athletes at college, and that's it. And structure it exactly the same as the NFL does it.
Well, they're never going to do. They're never going to say they're professional athletes. Just not
Matt,
gonna
before
happen.
we cut you loose, and thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely.
You can find Matt at Believe in Badgers podcast, BLEAV. As a former player, having played in a different system, but looking at this system, what do you think separates playoff teams from teams that just fall just short of getting in?
Man, that's a great question. I mean, talent, you got to have the best guys, but you also have the best team chemistry. And you see a lot, like, look at Indiana. They are playing outrageously well together.
They've got some good talent.
They got some great talent.
How loaded they are.
Mendoza is probably one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in a very long time. 6'5". They don't make human beings like that as quarterback. But the team is playing so well together. They have this culture, right? You know, what's his name is a brash guy, Signetti, but that's a guy you want to play for. You want to go in there and play for a dude who's like, Google me. I'll show you what's up. Like, you can read it yourself. To me, that's special, right? Ohio State's always been that way, right? Miami, not, because they almost got the death penalty about 25 years ago. But, you know, if you look at Ohio State, they get the best players. They might not be there for more than 2 years, and they win every year, right? Oregon's doing the same with Dan blanking on his name. Lenahan? No, that's like one of my friends from college. Whatever. So the culture's still being built by these teams. You've seen a lot of other teams who don't have culture, who are either trying to pay. Look at Texas A&M, like, got killed they paid every person on their team $1 million, and it blew up on them. So, so I still think you need to have the culture. You have to have the structure. You have to have the right coaching staff. But the college landscape, to me, I like the kids getting paid. I just think it's so sad. It's just so. How do you buy a jersey? Like, whose jersey are you going to buy? They're going to be gone next year. You can't. It's like, I think LeBron James, this is a conspiracy theory, and I have to go, started this with going to be a super team and then going back to his team. And then everyone started doing it. And now in college, someone's like, oh, I know there's a running back at Wisconsin who wants $700,000. $700,000? That takes me 10 years to make that. Now, guess what? Wisconsin says, no. What does he do? Transfer portal.
Jump ship.
So, like, that's the world we live in. I think it's sad. Again, I wish they would change it or had some kind of guardrails up prior, but this is where we're at.
But you know, the answer to that is, well, why should the NCAA make all the money?
I don't think they should. First of all, I think the NCAA is worthless. And
Agreed.
Now today they are completely worthless. What do they do now?
100%.
There's no rules. Why are you coming up with rules? I couldn't accept a ride in the snow if I was freezing to death.
Correct.
By a booster when I was playing. This is 20 years ago. Now I can get a free car.
That's right.
I can get a free tank. Like, if someone wanted to give me, I can do. It's literally doesn't make sense in this world.
Thank you so much. Anytime.
Appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Carte blanche. Anytime you want to come back. Thanks, Matt.
Come on, more in the future for sure, especially for college football talk. You know, I think with the college football, you know, this comes down to, you know, does the college football playoff reward the right teams? Are they rewarding the teams that deserve to be there by putting them in, or are they rewarding teams that have a good resume and are not necessarily good teams? You know, that's subjective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Georgia a good team? Of course Georgia's a good team. Is Alabama a good team? Of course Alabama's a good team. They played each other twice. You know, is JMU a good team? They won 10, 12 games, whatever it was. They lost, 1, 2 games? They won their conference. Okay, they're a good team, but did they deserve to be in the college playoff? Again, it's subjective. And like I said prior to all of this, I don't need to see them. I just want to see the two teams that we know looking on from the eyeball test, Indiana and Georgia. I realized that didn't play out that way, and we got Miami and Ole Miss and Oregon. Again, it's fine. That's the way the playoff shakes out. But imagine being Indiana now. You have now played 3 conference championship games to get to the final. You had to beat Ohio State, you had to beat Oregon. You had to beat Ohio State in the
Right.
conference championship, and you're playing Oregon again. So what, there's, like I said about second chances is one thing, but it's changed the landscape, and how the playoff affects, like he was just saying about the offseason, right? Like if a kid wants something and he doesn't get it, he's going to jump ship. And yet we didn't even
Right.
touch the portal, right? Because Indiana has already reloaded via the portal. And what if that kid that he's talking about is on Indiana right now and he says, you know what? I want $1 million. I want 500,000. I want a car parked in my mom's driveway. I want a new house, whatever it is. And they tell him no. The portal's open. What if he decides, you know what? They're going to take me at Miami and pay me, or they're going to take me at Texas and pay me. And he decides, I'm not going to play this week because I might get hurt and lose all that. So they have to figure this out, the timing of it, where these things fall, because it really is the Wild West in terms of the college football landscape. And I don't begrudge anybody their money. Go get your money. The majority of these kids, when they leave school, if they even have a degree, when they get it, don't make it in the NFL. They're not going to get a huge payday unless they are able to create a business for themselves or start a business. They better have their education behind them. But by all means, go. I don't begrudge anybody their money. So good for them that they're getting their money.
But you know what? You know what's going to happen, and I'm absolutely sure that this is what's
Corporatism.
going to happen. They're going to make these guys are going to make a lot of money, and then they're going to do nothing. And then what's going to happen is they're going to get hammered for tax evasion and all this tax stuff, all these tax evasions. They're going to owe hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they pissed all the money away, and they don't have a dime, and it's going to be all over the news. And then we're going to re-question what everybody's getting again.
I would hope that, because how many times have we seen that kind of scenario where people come into money and lose their money for whatever reason, whether it's tax evasion or just spending or whatever. And there has to be some sort of responsibility factor, especially from these colleges.
Oh,
or even these
colleges do.
I know they don't care. I know they don't. And when it comes to stuff like that, they go from being kids to adults immediately.
Right.
So I think if there's somebody out there, a program that has the willingness to protect their athletes the way they should be, that might be the way to encourage athletes in the portal to come to your school, because say, hey, look, we do things the right way. You would expect a school like Notre Dame to have that kind of, structure available to their students, right? You might not find that at other schools like Miami, and I'm not trying to dig on them. It's just
I'll dig on 'em.
historically
It's fine.
speaking. Yeah. So, the other part of this too is the rankings themselves have to come out in late October or November, whatever it is. And these people that rank, this committee that ranks these teams, they know what they're doing. They're not stupid people. And I'm not saying that they get the rankings correct. They know how to set up the rankings for the fall. And they did it this year. They did it last year. They do it every year. They know exactly where to place teams to give themselves leverage or hedge that if this team does lose, we can drop them out. If this team loses, we can keep them in.
Right.
They're not stupid people. So, and they know how to use teams like JMU or colleges like JMU to garner interest and position them so that, well, they're getting in. If they lose, we can easily wipe them out. But if they win, somebody else is going to take the fall. They don't just sit in a room every week and redecide what's happening. They can see it weeks ahead.
Right. Well, I think, I think we can leave it there for now with the college football. That's where it is. And we'll
Sure.
talk about it more after the championship. I think the two games we're looking forward to right now are Oregon and Indiana, which is Friday the 9th at 7:30 p.m. And then before that, Miami and Ole Miss, which it's got to be a good game, right?
I can tell you that for years, I've always loved watching Ole Miss play in bowl games, especially in late December, because they don't usually play after that.
Right.
But historically speaking, anyway, I just absolutely love the story right now for Ole Miss, having lost their coach. They basically told him, "You don't want to be here. You can't coach us in the bowl game. Get lost. You can't coach us in the
That's
playoffs,
right.
whatever." So, I'm rooting hard for those kids because, you know, this is probably the last time that group of kids is going to play together, and then it'll break up, and some of them probably will transfer to
Right.
LSU or wherever. So I'm hoping the best for them. Miami, it would be great for the fan base that, especially people like me who hate, the establishment. It would be great for us to see Ole Miss play Indiana. Not that Oregon is necessarily an establishment team, but the fact that they're basically owned by Nike, and Nike has all their uniforms, and that the TV companies, the outlets, whoever's telling Fox or whoever's, they want Oregon and Miami. That's what they want. So I'm against that. So I'm genuinely rooting for Indiana and Ole Miss on top
Me
of it.
too. I think that those are my teams too. So we finished the last week of the NFL season.
Insanity every week. It seems.
Insanity this year.
Absolute insanity.
I'm sure the NFL would call it parody. I don't know if I would.
I don't know what to call it. A couple of things that happened yesterday were bizarre.
I mean, first of all, it went down to and it never does. It went down to the last game, the last play to decide something.
I mean, you couldn't ask for more if you built the schedule, if you were the NFL. And it came down to that because, of course, like we've spoken about both of these coaches and their coaching ability and decision-making. Tomlin's decision to go for it on fourth down at the end of the first half. I'm usually a fan of going for it. It's not hindsight, because I was like, man, he's going to go for it. I did like the play call, but obviously when they came to the line, they probably should have been smart enough to get out of that play. If you're going to go for it, why would you not put it in your future Hall of Famers' hands to get you in the end zone one way or the other? And you could say, well, they probably were expecting that, whatever the case may be. By not taking the points there is what made the ending exciting in the second half. Otherwise, they would have been up and it wouldn't have mattered.
And they missed an extra point and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. But neither of those defenses were very, TJ Watt, I think, probably had the play of the game where he intercepted Lamar Jackson to put them in that position. But it was sloppy. It was a little ugly. Again, you got to see, glimpses of Derrick Henry. He didn't get the amount of carries he got the week before, which is I thought they should have just kept pounding, giving him the football. Lamar Jackson made two incredible plays, but he also, made some incredible blunders. So who knows where that goes? I think neither team is going to fire their head coach, but it could have been part of the decision process for sure if they're considering it right now. I was joking with Mark last night that when they kicked the field goal and the winner of the New York Giants head coaching position is, and because either, let's say the guy who loses gets fired. Why wouldn't the Giants hire either one of those coaches?
I know. Well, it's funny, coaches getting fired. I mean, we have, and I was just going through the list, unless somebody else, when I finished the list at like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, got fired. I mean, first of all, it started off, Callahan from the Titans got fired in October. Diebold from Giants got fired in November. Raheem Morris gets fired from the Falcons last night.
I think he was fired before they even had the press conference for the post game.
And then Kevin Stefanski gets fired from the Browns today, which everyone was a little bit shocked since he was coach of the year 2 years in a row, wasn't he? Last year, the year before, 2 years ago.
Was he coach of the year?
Yeah. So, and then I think that he's kind of worn out his welcome in the NFL as Pete Carroll. I mean, he got fired from the Raiders after 1 year.
I
And-
think they got their number one pick, and Tom Brady wants someone in there to have a good relationship with the new. They're going to take Mendoza. I mean, that's happening. Tom Brady loves Mendoza.
I forgot about Brady involved in this. So yeah, so you're probably
they were
right
like
because Carroll's not a well. Carroll did a great job with Russell back in the day. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they have their idea on somebody.
I don't far and away. I think it's Mendoza. I think Tom Brady's already
No, but I meant for a coach.
well. That I don't know. I mean, you would hope they have the right guy in the hopper, but definitely they're going to take Mendoza, and they probably felt that Pete Carroll wasn't the right fit if they were going to go that route. So we'll see. But I think that was probably, a large percentage of the decision to let him go, because they just gave him a 3-year contract last year, so he's still got 2 years left on his contract. They have to pay him.
Right.
And in the NFL, money talks.
Yep. And Jonathan Gannon, they don't care about that. Jonathan Gannon, because it doesn't count against they don't care about the money. It goes to go against the salary cap. They could care less.
That's true.
Jonathan Gannon gets fired from the Cardinals. So
Well, now you have the answer to your question, why that team is so
bad.
poor.
I tell you, they've been bad, whatever. So
Yeah.
back to Stefanski. So he's a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, 2020 and 23. Failed to string together consecutive winning seasons. In his 6 years serving as the Browns head coach, in each of the 2 years he won the Coach of the Year. Stefanski led Cleveland to 11 wins and a playoff appearance. And 4 seasons outside of those years, Browns went combined 23-45. What else do you need to know?
It's another one of those guys that they have the coaching resume as a coordinator and young, hot, smart talent and all that. And then, Cleveland is not the destination that you want to be in. I don't
It's
think
never
the
been
coach.
it's the owner.
It's the owner. And I don't know that Stefanski will move on and become a legend, or that he will or won't have success, but he probably deserves another shot, and I'm sure
He's going to get
teams
it.
are gonna
He's going to go to the Giants or the Jets. One of those idiots are going to hire him.
well, it
'Cause
depends on the process, right? I mean, he's probably in the hopper for Joe Shane. It's an easy choice, but the Jets have a head coach, so as far as we know, I don't think anything's changing there.
I don't think anything's changing there.
And I will put on the black hat and defend Aaron Glenn tonight if you want to go that route.
I don't think he needs to vet. I think any coach that's been in there 1 year deserves a second year.
I believe that too. I listen to some of these talking heads and, people that are out there, people at the bar, and they're upset that he let go of Aaron Rodgers. Guy's 42 years old. What is the future of your organization with a 40-year-old at quarterback? You don't have a Super Bowl team. You didn't have a Super Bowl team last year, and you didn't have a Super Bowl team the year before that, whether he got hurt or not.
Well,
and that's not.
And you had
on
no
Aaron
offensive
Glenn.
line. You had no offensive line to support a 40. If you're going to have a 40-year-old lack of mobility at this point, which is going to come to bear next week in the playoff game, when on Monday night they're playing the best front four in all of defenses in Houston. I mean, he's going to be running for his life.
Hell yeah.
So I'll be surprised if he doesn't get knocked out somewhere along the line. But
the other part of that with the Jets, people talking about Robert Saleh, thinking he is or isn't a good coach, and look at the success he has in San Francisco. What do the Jets have in any way, shape, or form that resembles what they have in San Francisco?
Unbelievable.
Right.
Come on. First of all, their quarterback is a magic man.
Well,
he does things
not
not yesterday. I mean, it's not a consistent magic man, but he is a magic man.
He's able to accomplish some things that make you shake your head like, wow, how did he do that?
The week before he did it.
Yeah, sure.
Back to the Cardinals for a second. I'm reading about Jonathan Gannon, who got fired. Gannon and the Cardinals, 3 straight sub 500 seasons in his brief tenure as Arizona's head coach. I guess 3 years is not brief in my book, but okay. His most successful campaign was 8-9 in 2024. Wow. He lost 13 games in 23 and 14 in 25, leaving his head coach record at 15-36. How are you keeping your job? This is the NFL.
Yeah, you
3
can't.
years?
There's
The Cardinals' 3-14 record this year, tied with 3 other teams, is the worst mark in the NFL.
I don't know that fan base is very robust, to be honest with you.
They're horrible.
It's a retirement state at best. But this is one of those things, right, where the NFL has to carry organizations like this because of expansion. And along with that comes what they call parity, but to me, it's completely diluted everything.
Mediocrity?
Yeah, it's mediocrity at best.
Well, you know what? Something else I want to say to you, that you want to go back to the Raiders again with Pete Carroll. Let's not forget he had Chip Kelly as his offensive coordinator.
That guy's a fraud.
I think Chip Kelly is the biggest fake on the face of the earth.
Total fraud. Total fraud. That guy should be coaching a high school team somewhere or a Division III college.
I mean, he's been in the butt. I'd like to look at. I wish I could look it up right now. What he's done, where he's been. I mean, it's like a joke. Why would you hire that guy?
He rode his offense from when we was back at Oregon, I guess. His philosophy.
Oregon, Notre Dame, wherever he was.
I mean, enough with that guy. I was so happy he went to Notre Dame and lost at Notre Dame. It was just tickled me to death. It was a perfect fit.
Remember when he was with the Eagles? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I did, and did what?
So his coaching career. Well, he wasn't a head coach. Where is he head coach? He was at Columbia.
And it's even worse when you consider the parity of the NFL, that, his offense should be successful and they should have, players all over the field and scoring all kinds of points. And it just,
So he went from, in 2007, 2008, he was the offensive coordinator. So he was into Oregon 2009 to 2012.
Was that with Michael Vick?
In Oregon?
No,
or
in Philly.
Philly? I want to say it was. And Michael Vick had the crazy-ass couple of games I ever remember. When he was first with Philadelphia,
he replaced
ridiculous.
Andy Reid, right?
Yep. And then, so Kelly's there 2013, 2015. Then he goes to head coach at 49ers. He's there 1 year. 2017, he didn't coach. 2018 to 23, he's at UCLA. Then he gets fired from there, and he ends up at Ohio State, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. From there, he gets hired as OC at the Raiders.
And who did they lose to when he was at Ohio State?
I don't recall. And then now he's at Northwestern. So
is he at Northwestern? I didn't realize he was at Northwestern.
2026 to present. It must have happened. Must happen now.
Yeah.
Or he got hired for the future.
Yeah.
So, because Northwestern can't be paying him what the Raiders are left paying him. So, overall college is 81-41. Overall NFL, he's 28-35. He's
the numbers speak for themselves.
Bowl games, he's 3 for 3. In tournaments, NFL player, he's 0 for 1. I don't know.
He's not the guy.
He's not any guy.
Yeah, he's a lot of nothing.
2-time Pac-10 Coach of the Year. AP 2009, 2010.
And what was the Pac-10? Come on.
I know. AP College Football Coach of the Year 2010. That's when he was with Oregon, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, they were a great team. Eddie, I don't know what that means. 2010. That's all his accolades are from.
Yep.
So
Good for him. He wrote it for a long time. If he was worth his salt, he would have been coaching in the SEC and winning championships like Nick Saban or even Les Miles or somebody like that. But he didn't. So
He was at Columbia in his early coaching year, and then he went to Johns Hopkins. Boy, if that doesn't grab your attention. Wow. I don't know how that happens. I mean, listen, I've seen it in business where people always get other jobs, and I say to themselves, how is this guy vice president, controller operations? The guy never leaves his office. He had, I see it all the time. I want to scratch my head, but Chip Kelly's, oof.
I agree. I have no use for it.
And that's it. That's all I want to say about that. So as far as playoffs, so our playoffs are, I had it all broken down. I think I left it in the other room. But, I mean, you have the Monday night game at Pittsburgh, and everybody's going to be waiting on that. And then you have Buffalo and the Jaguars, right? Or who's
I
that?
have it right in front of me. What am I looking at? Yeah, you've got the
Carolina?
So Broncos got the 1 seed. Yeah. I think the most interesting game is the 4-5 game. Who plays who? Now I'm lost.
4-5 game is, and the AFC we're talking about is Houston and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm taking Houston all day. I'm not even. I don't. I didn't realize that game was on Monday night.
Monday night, 8:00.
No kidding, a Monday night playoff game.
Yep.
Did they do that last year? They must have.
Not only that, the Saturday night game is on Amazon.
That's just so obnoxious.
NFL football playoff game on Amazon.
Game, not available on network television. Come on. What are we doing here? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know which game. I think it's San Francisco, Philadelphia. I don't recall which one's which.
NBC, CBS, ESPN, Fox, Amazon Prime is Bears, Packers.
Oh, Bears, Packers. That's the 7 and 8 game. But to me, a really interesting game is Chargers, New England. I think it'll be an interesting game. And I also go ahead.
Sorry, finish what you're saying.
I also think Rams and Panthers are going to be an interesting game. San Francisco, who knows if the good team shows up and plays some defense, they may give the Eagles the run for the money.
I'll tell you something.
I bet you the odds are pretty good on Eagles right now to win the whole thing.
I'll tell you something. The Eagles rested their players yesterday and cost themselves a 2 seed.
That's correct.
Which means you were okay not having to play who? Or did you want to play the 49ers? Because for me, that's a little bulletin board material if you're the 49ers. But, comes down to that's going to come down to which one of those defenses is going to break first, I think. And the 49ers that defense is 1 week it's good, 1 week it's just miserable. I don't know. I like the 49ers. I thought 2 weeks ago that especially after the Rams lost to the Seahawks, that the 49ers were going to win the division, and the Seahawks actually put them to bed. So, yeah, that's going to be very telling. We'll see what happens there. Because the Eagles could have played the Packers, right? If they win that game yesterday, they play the Packers. The Packers stink. They just stink. I'm sorry. They're beat up.
Love is out, right? He hurt? Or is he back?
I think he's back. I thought oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know. But I just, regardless, I just don't think they're, a team you don't want to play in the playoffs, right? The Bears surging. And I'm still going to go with, I'm going to go with what I said earlier in the season, that I think we'll see the Bears and the Rams in the championship game.
I thought you said, what happened to Cincinnati?
That's the AFC. That's
I
the
know,
AFC.
we were talking about Cincinnati. Remember our
first? How about this? If you're the Bills, what else could you ask for? Cincinnati's out. The Chiefs are out. The Ravens are out. Not that they couldn't beat the Ravens, but all these teams with talented quarterbacks, et cetera, et cetera. If you're the Bills and you're the 6th seed, road dogs are, and they'll probably be favored against the Jaguars, so watch out. And I like the Jaguars. Quiet, two
So
seed. No one's talking about.
so let me get a few questions for you. How long is it before the Miami coach gets fired?
He's probably fired this week. I can't see them going into another
And
season.
who's going to be the quarterback and the coach there?
What is their draft position? Because that will factor.
I had it to you. I think I sent it to you.
I know I had a graphic, but I'll just look it up. I know the Jets snuck up to the 2 seed. Raiders are 1. The Giants dropped. The Giant fans are losing their minds. I love it. I just can't get enough of that. It's, to see a storied fan base or storied franchise, have their fan base lose their minds over whether or not they should win or not win football games at the end of
So
the
it's
season.
Raiders and Jets, and
Here
then
we go.
Cardinals, then Titans, and Giants fans are saying that the Giants won on purpose so they didn't have to worry about a first-round draft pick, number 1 draft pick. You won on purpose to get them off the hook. And then Browns and Washington and Saints, but that's all I have.
The Saints they might be the worst team, and they
Oh, yeah.
it's comical. I'll tell you something. There's so much talk about reordering, restructuring the draft, having a lottery, which I think is the absolute worst thing you could do because we've already seen the lottery does not work.
It's
You
fixed.
cannot have a
You
lottery.
want to
in
have
the
more
NFL.
people saying it's fixed?
They can't go there. They just can't go there. The more I think about it, the more I think my idea was the best route because it protects. I think it just protects everybody. But because the money at the top is, you have to pay more at the top than you do at the bottom. So, but the Dolphins are where now? They're 11. They had a 4.88 strength of schedule and they finished under 500. So I don't see how their coach can survive that. I also don't see how they can keep rolling Tua out there every year. I know they paid him a lot of money, but
No, forget him. They're not going to roll him out.
they can't. They can't possibly do that.
You know what? Let me tell you exactly what they're going to do. They're going to send him for his physical. They're going to disqualify him, and that'll make sure that they make a claim against their insurance policy against him.
That would be best for everybody, in my opinion.
Oh, it wouldn't be good for him,
including the insurance company, because what happens when he gets his brains knocked out?
Yeah, maybe.
So,
I mean, I'm sure he doesn't think it's the best for him.
Yeah,
but
he's got to reconsider that. I mean, I don't want to knock people. I just don't think he's as good as people say he is or think he was before he got hurt or whatever. When you listen to
I don't think he was as good at Alabama as people say he was.
Yeah, I don't either. I that's where I'm at with that. I was never a fan, and good for him for what he accomplished in his life, and I know he wants more. But if I'm the owner of the Dolphins, coaching the quarterback, it's not even a thought. It's gone.
He was
Go play somewhere else.
Beat up when he got drafted. They weren't sure he was ever going to play again.
You had a chance, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming the coach. It's just it's not working for me. From the eyeball test, you got to go. I need a real quarterback in here. I don't need somebody that runs an RPO or can scramble and move on the run and throw on the run. I need a quarterback, and he's not it for me.
So let's ask about the 2 bye teams. We already said, if with Denver, I mean, you're going to have to go play there now. The air is thin. It's cold. It snows. It's a rough place to play.
That is not a friendly place to visit in the playoffs.
I agree.
And I'll tell you something else about them. They have the 3rd highest strength of schedule, I think, in the entire playoffs.
Really?
Their strength of schedule was over 500, which I know it's either 400 or 500 depending on what team you are. Like the Patriots have the easiest strength of schedule of all time. right? Theirs was 420 something, 429, I think, or last week. I think it was a 49. I don't remember 419, but now it's 429.
But they Patriots beat good teams as well as they beat poor
They
teams.
beat good teams, and the Broncos should have lost to the Jets in wherever they played in Europe.
Yeah.
And they also should have lost to the Giants. And the Giants, as we know, were not good. So
Yeah, but I think
they're beatable is what I'm saying.
I think their
they're
quarterback, I really believe that their quarterback is just coming into himself. And he had good and bad days. And I think against bad teams, he had bad days.
Oh, you're talking about Bo Nix?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah. Yeah. No, I think he's progressing. I think if you follow the trajectory, you're looking at somebody who has the coach that he needs to help him succeed in the NFL, like we talked about, taking those steps and progressing and
Right.
moving forward and getting better every week and, turning the corner from where you're the coach's robot to having autonomy in the offense. I think he's right at that cusp now.
Right.
So we'll see.
And
I mean,
and Seattle's no party, right? Seattle's defense seems to be all of a sudden on the ball.
yeah,
Not that they
they're
have
playing
been
very
bad
well.
all year. I think they're playing even better than they were playing. And Darnold, what are you going to say? If he throws 5 touchdowns, he'll throw 5 interceptions. But the defense makes it up. So
How about the fact that he won 14 games for 2 different teams in back-to-back years?
Unbelievable.
Gotta tip your cap to the guy. They can say whatever they want about his playoffs performance last year. It wasn't a fluke that he went 14 and 3 with them, and it's obviously it's not a fluke
Listen, we
this year
saw
either.
him come back. Who was it? Who did he come back against?
The Rams.
The Rams at
What else do you need to say?
unbelievably.
Who do you think is seething more? Minnesota fans or Jet fans?
Minnesota fans.
Gotta be.
Jet fans are saying same old Jets. I got in the elevator coming in my apartment today, and a guy was making a delivery, and he had a Jets jersey on. I go like, how's that Jet jersey working out for you? He looked at me. He goes, I was hoping you didn't see it.
The Seahawks, their coach is got a good pedigree. I mean, he coached at Georgia. I know he's with the Ravens. He coached at Michigan, of course. Easy guy to root for. Another guy that you don't hear a lot about him, right? Because all the talk is about Sam Darnold. And when the Minnesota decided to cut ties, he was right there. It was like, get me a quarterback. That's my guy. And hey, anything can happen. They're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough to beat. I mean, I was talking all year, about the Rams, and I know the 49ers looked like, when they were healthy anyway, that they were formidable. But the Seahawks won 14 games. They got a home field advantage. You're going to have to go through Seattle if you want to go to the Super Bowl.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a Denver-Seattle Super Bowl. I don't think you'd be surprised at all. I mean, listen, the best quarterbacks in the league are 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league are not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. I realize there has to be changes in Baltimore. There's something going on there, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's what. All I can tell you is if you're firing the coach, you better tell me who you're hiring because I don't know anybody better than this guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Unless
kind of a head scratcher.
Mike Tomlin's available, who would go to that town and really build a different viewpoint. Maybe he may be available. I don't know if he will be.
Ironically, I think that might be the cure for both teams.
They
swapping head coaches.
head coaches?
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Think about, Harbaugh changing philosophy and still building a winner. I mean, they are a good football team. Their defense, was not good all year, and then they made some changes, and they were playing pretty good the last 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is.
And something tells me that Sirianni could win the Super Bowl and get fired.
2 Super Bowls in a row and he gets fired?
I don't think anybody likes him.
That would be unprecedented. I mean,
I listen. I'll have to say
well,
this.
did Jimmy Johnson win too and get fired?
That may be. Well, that's different.
He's no Jimmy Johnson though.
He's no. Who is? All right, Jimmy Johnson's an amazing coach. You know, national championship and a couple of Super Bowl. That's all I need, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, and with a tough owner to work with, and they were friends. They went to college together. Were they roommates or something?
Something weird like that. They knew each other from some. I don't remember.
Anyway, I think Sirianni could go to the Super Bowl, lose, and get fired, without a doubt. I think if there's a guy out there like Harbaugh out there to be hired, or Tomlin out there to be hired, they would fire Sirianni so fast their heads would spin. Imagine a coach
I don't disagree with.
A coach of that quality with a team like that.
Well, we said it about Andy Reid last week going back to Philly if things played out that way.
I think Andy Reid's going to play one year too many.
Even though I know it'll never happen, the personality of each coach fits the other city, I think, and the fan base better, and the roster. I was watching that game last night going, man, if these two coaches swapped at halftime, what would the outcome? Would the outcome of this game be any different? Would both teams all of a sudden? It just made a little sense. Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I think beyond anything else, when it comes to coaches, especially in the NFL, I think sometimes it's just time. That look at Belichick. It was just time.
Well, the Ravens, this year was all about Lamar's health, right? They lost Lamar, and then they couldn't win. They couldn't. They were like stuck in the mud without Lamar.
Did you see
and then when
his
he came back,
interview
he couldn't get
after
his
the game?
wheels under him.
Did you see the interview after the game?
That was very telling. I couldn't believe he said that. That's a softball. Yes, I want my coach back. That's all you have to say. There's talk about dancing around an answer. All you had to say was, what? Yeah, what kind of question is that? Of course I want my coach back.
So for those who didn't see it, they asked him if Harbaugh should come back, and he said, I'm not thinking of that. I'm thinking of this loss and what happened. Meanwhile, you can think about it all you want. You lost.
You lost.
You better start thinking about what you're going to do to stop losing at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Drop passes. So the question is so funny. The question on First Take today, I think it was First Take I was listening to, and they were saying, do you put this loss or the last 3 years of losses at the feet of the quarterback, or is there other blame to go around? Coaching, whatever.
Let me ask you this. Why does Josh Allen and Steve McDermott get a pass, but Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh don't?
I don't think Lamar Jackson gets a pass. I think they said, well, I think they said he had no control over the kicker. Well, you know what? You know what he had control of? He could have scored more points, so it didn't come down to the kicker kicking the ball. That's what it is. He put himself in a position to possibly fail. He put himself in a position to make it a flip of a coin.
The Steelers defenders made plays, TJ Watt, whereas the Ravens did not when it, in terms of changing the complexion of the game.
So when do I get to open my gifts?
Oh, Merry Christmas. So you have carte blanche.
So Justin bought me Christmas gifts, and he told me I had to open them on air.
I'm going to do an unboxing.
I got him when I got him last year, nothing. And I feel very badly about that, but
don't feel bad. Nothing suits me well.
Is this the one you wanted me to open first? I hope it is.
Yeah. The other one you'll probably throw across the room.
Oh, God.
I figured that would tie into our top 10.
Good thing they didn't repossess my car before I got this. Came pretty close. Here he is. Lewis Hamilton. Back when he was with Mercedes. Pop.
I figured that would look nice on your desk there. Right in front of the camera.
It will. So he was a class act. You know how much money he made last year? $100 million.
God bless him.
So I think that's going to go right out there when I figure out how to open that box. There's a lot of tabs and this and that. This one you say I'm going to throw across the room? What is it, a boomerang?
Yeah, you might. I don't know. You probably have to put that one on the shelf behind you somewhere if you have the patience for it.
It's a Lego. It's a Lego Formula One. Boy, you make good choices. You know what the funny it is? I bought this for Orietta's son because he collects Lego.
Oh, no kidding.
And when I got it, I kept saying, man, I wish I had bought one for me too.
That'll look good right up on that shelf over your left shoulder, I think.
Oh, man. I know there's not enough crap over that on that shelf. There used to be stuff, but I moved it somewhere else. But just like there's a big spot here, you don't see it. I moved that out and refinished it. I might have sent it to you. So either way, thank you so much. You chose wisely, as they say.
Well, enjoy it.
And
Merry
and to be
Christmas.
honest, I didn't get any Christmas gifts this year, so these are the only ones I got. Because I always tell people not to buy me anything because, first of all, I'm impossible to buy something for because I don't really like anything, and I'm
The
just
phone
checking.
was listening. It popped up on my feed, and I was like, you know what? I got to get that.
The phone was listening. You know, maybe the Giants or the Jets could look at their phones before they hire a coach. I forget what team it was. It may have been Atlanta. They fired the coach. They hired two different search fields, two different search teams to find one for GM and one for the coach.
You know,
Does that sound bizarre to you, or is
it is mind-boggling that any pro sports franchise has to hire a third-party company to go out and find them a new head coach. That's why I was dogging the Jets and the fans for saying that they have to fire Aaron Glenn because what are you going to do? You're going to let the GM pick? Because the GM picked him, right? The Tannenbaum picked your GM picked the coach. So what are you going to do? You're going to fire both of them, go back to Tannenbaum and his company and ask for another GM and coach? They'll never get it right.
You know, I love this, right?
I can see it on your face.
I'm like, and I love the Lego too. Don't think you thought it was fun. I love it. I'm gonna take a picture. So yeah, I mean, listen, I think Lewis Hamilton is one of the greatest drivers ever in anything. There's no question about it. There are some other, Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I think that's a top 10 story from 2025.
I mean, whatever happened, and I have been watching. If anybody likes F1 and you're not, anyone likes F1 and you're not watching, I wish I could remember the name of the thing, the F1 series on Netflix. I mean, it's without a doubt the best. They go through every season. And certainly the last season where you had the head of get caught with sexual harassing or whatever it was of one of his employees and ends up getting fired from, why am I drawing a blank on the name of the team? Red Bull gets fired. All right. And you say to yourself, if you've watched the early seasons of the F1 show on Netflix, you saw this guy's life. First of all, he's going to buy back in at Alpine, and he's going to have another team, and he's going to run it. But at least that's what the story is out there at the moment. I don't know if it may have already happened. And he was at Red Bull. He gets forced out. If you saw the early shows about him, he has a beautiful, smart wife. They live on this estate with horses and things. He has a picture-perfect life. And he's screwing around with and we don't know if it's sexual harassment in a way of trying to have sex with someone. I don't know what the facts are. and I don't really care to get into those. But or he was just hassling the crap out of a woman for no reason whatsoever. I know it's out there. I don't know what the truth is, but
These days, it's hard to figure that out without, documentation and whatnot. But yeah, it makes you wonder.
and I'm somebody, I've been a monitor, a designated monitor for sexual harassment of organizations to oversee any complaints of sexual harassment and investigating them and issue reports. So I'm very familiar with what goes on in the world, but I have no idea, I didn't look at the detailed facts. You don't like to, I don't know, glorify any such acts. But when they asked all the owners of the other teams, or whoever the guys that are controlling it, nobody first said anything, and then the owner at McLaren said something unusual. It was, there's no reason this guy should continue or something like that. And listen, this is a small group of people that
Yeah.
control these teams.
Yeah.
What are you talking? 10 people? 20 people at the outside. So it's going to be a great series, a great year for F1. All new cars. You're going to start seeing them more and more at the end of the month in January. You're going to see them trying to practice racing in February, and I think they race in March. So I'm totally looking forward to it, and I appreciate. Thank you so much for your gifts. They were very kind, and
My pleasure. Enjoy them.
and you bought the right thing, which no one ever does. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Are we good? Do you want to go into anything else?
Did you want to run down the top 10 moments of 2025 or?
I know we talked about that. Why don't we save it for next week?
Yeah. All right.
Only because we did so much on college football already. So
Yeah.
all right. So here we are.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
so much. Thank you for bringing in that guest. Any other people you want to bring in? Good. I'd love to have it.
Yeah, it's a lot
Thanks
of
so
fun.
much. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to you, Justin.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Steve.
All right. And we'll see you all soon.
Catch you next week.